On March 15th, John F. Trent posted this article to That Park Place. Forspoken consultant Black Girl Gamers appears to discriminate in their hiring practices while claiming they are being harassed. Now, if you're not familiar with Black Girl Gamers, as the name implies, it is a space for Black Girl Gamers. In a nutshell, they are nothing more than just another DEI consulting company, much like Sweet Baby Inc., where they go to gaming companies and offer their quote-unquote services to go and help diversify their games. They acted as consultants on Forspoken, which was a game that was a massive failure. It came out in January of 2023, and the company that created it, Luminous Productions, ended up folding because of how bad it performed. The article is in reference to this post made by Black Girl Gamers on Twitter, looking for Black women content creators to make Dungeons & Dragons D&D content for some potential brand work. Hit us up. Now, BGG's original post was made on February 19th, and they followed up on March 12th saying, looking for content creators to make Dungeons & Dragons content for some potential brand work. Hit us up. Now, I'm assuming that there weren't enough Black women that were interested in making D&D content, so they decided to open it up to the rest of the population. A little over a week after John F. Trent posted his article to That Park Place, Black Girl Gamers posted this to Twitter. We're addressing the recent allegations published on thatparkplace.com about discriminatory hiring practices within Black Girl Gamers. These claims are false and were made without prior fact-checking or verification from us or our representatives. Towards the end of their 8-post thread, they say, upon discovering these false and defamatory allegations, we have taken steps to obtain legal counsel to take action against publications and journalists, as well as subsequent content creators who have rehashed the false allegations about our organization. We will continue to pursue further actions against anyone who persists in spreading false and defamatory information about Black Girl Gamers, its founder, and its contractors and partners. A day later, a cease and desist notice was sent over to John F. Trent and That Park Place. Now, this was posted online by Valiant Renegades, so I didn't discover this or whatnot. This is all publicly available right now. You can go check it out over at Valiant's Twitter. The notification reads, Dear John F. Trent, please be advised that our firm has been retained by Miss J. Ann Lopez, CEO of Black Girl Gaming Inc., hereafter BGG. As you know, Miss Lopez and BGG are well known in the gaming community. Our firm was retained because Miss Lopez observed a series of unwarranted and defamatory attacks against her character and reputation made by you and various online commentators who follow or share your views. These false, unwarranted, and defamatory attacks are also directed at BGG. Additionally, Miss Lopez observed that you have publicly used her name, image, and likeness without prior authorization on your website, thatparkplace.com. Now, I need to go and state the obvious. I'm obviously not a lawyer, so take everything I have to say with a grain of salt, but at the same time, I'm also not an idiot. The very idea that a pop culture and gaming website can't talk about an individual that is in the pop culture and gaming space and use their photo and their name is absolutely ridiculous. And if this was to actually go and hold water, it means that Cabrutus Rambo could actually go after Kotaku for doing the exact same thing. The very idea that a website wrote a very unflattering story about you is not grounds for a lawsuit. You actually have to prove that they lied about you intentionally or misrepresented your views intentionally, which is not the case here. Now, I do need to go and point out the fact that most organizations typically have a public job board, but not Black Girl Gamers. They have this on their FAQ. Access to our job board can be gained by liaising with our team. Please email info@theblackgamers.com with the subject line job board form request. And when we come over to the job board page, you can go and enter your email address to join. I don't know if this is a recent change. It's a good possibility. I know if you go over to archive.org, they have made changes to this page, but unfortunately it does not display. And I know that the guys over at That Park Place have been documenting things, so this should be interesting. And as John points out in the article, it does appear that they do discriminate in their hiring practices. Why go and hide your job board behind an email request? And what John said and I said is editorialization or opinion. It is not a statement of fact. And so here comes the list of demands. We demand that you immediately cease and desist from posting or displaying any videos and or comments about Miss Lopez and BGG. We demand that by April 5th, 2024, you remove any and all links and references to videos, i.e. YouTube or Twitch, that comments upon or visibly depicts Ms. Lopez and or the BGG brand. It's actually really difficult to go and prove defamation when it comes to journalists and journalism and news outlets, but occasionally somebody will win something because that outlet must have screwed up in some capacity. A good example of this is what happened with Nick Sandman. He's the kid that went viral, and he ended up suing WAPO, and WAPO settled. If anyone needs to be sued here, it really should be Black Girl Gamers for what they did to Loomis Productions. They are responsible for going and destroying their company because they listened to them. I guess ultimately that's their own damn fault. Video commentary and comments posted online that attack Mrs. Lopez's moral character and accuse her and BGG of engaging in unlawful discriminatory hiring and retention practices are hurtful, baseless, and defamatory. The accusations that you levied against Ms. Lopez and Black Girl Gaming are simply untrue and demonstrably false. And remember, folks, what John says is it appears that they discriminate. He did not say that as a statement of fact. Therefore, it is opinion and editorialization. Because if that was the actual case, Kotaku and Alyssa Mercante could be sued by Cabrutus Rambo for literally doing the exact same thing. Editorialization. These defamatory public accusations have resulted in racist, sexist, and misogynistic communications directed at Ms. Lopez and the BGG public brand. And as always, when there's accusations of misogyny, sexism, racism, etc., I always ask where are the receipts. Now, I don't expect it to be in this letter here, but I do expect them to share the receipts on their Twitter account. And of course, if you go there, you're not going to see anything. These defamatory accusations have also resulted in various communications directed at Ms. Lopez, threatening violence against her person and the company, resulting in a law enforcement referral. And that's what you do when you receive a threat. You go to the police. You get law enforcement involved because threats of violence against somebody is unacceptable. It's not a part of free speech. But criticism, sharing one's opinion on something or a situation or a company or a person, clearly is allowed. That is a part of free speech. You're allowed to express your opinion. These reprehensible comments and video posts have damaged Mrs. Lopez's personal reputation and placed her in reasonable fear of bodily harm. And as I said, actual threats of bodily harm, you go to the police, you get them involved, and you go after the people making the threats. That's what you do. This is not the fault of that Park Place or John F. Trent. The false accusations of discrimination levied by you has already affected Mrs. Lopez's personal life and damaged BCC's business reputation and public profile. Black Girl Gamers was directly involved with the game Forspoken, which massively failed and lost copious amounts of money to the point where it caused the company to go and close down. That didn't damage their reputation, but an article written by John F. Trent questioning their hiring practices did. This is all garbage. You would think that exposing that would cause more brand damage to them than anything else. But whatever, it's current year. It's because somebody said mean things to you on the internet. That's what damaged your brand. And yes, I'm well aware that ultimately Loomis Productions is solely responsible for their downfall. But they did include Black Girl Gamers, and they definitely contributed to the destruction of this gaming company. Please note that this law firm does not attempt to restrict legitimate free speech, and we believe the internet is an important medium for discussion of accurate and truthful information and for the fair comments on issues of interest. Personally, I don't think that this law firm does believe in free speech, because if they did, they would have told BGG to go pound sand. But what you did get was paid for the C&D order. However, the defamatory comments made by you unlawfully encroach upon our clients' rights. Freedom from consequences and criticism is not a right. I think what they were expecting was that Park Place and John F. Trent to fold, and they didn't. As a matter of fact, they lawyered up and they sent a reply. But before we get to that response, let's finish this off. This letter puts all on notice that should there be any further defamatory comments about Ms. Lopez and BGG, we have no choice but to recommend that our client pursue all legal causes of action, including filing of a lawsuit to protect their interests. We will pursue both monetary damages and attorney's fees and costs incurred by our client as a result of the legal action or actions. It is our hope that this correspondence will alleviate the need for any such filing or legal action. Okay, so how did that Park Place respond? They hired Ronald Coleman to go and draft a response. Like I said, I bet they're 100% believing that that Park Place and John F. Trent would be a complete pushover, that they would go and capitulate. But no, this is what they get instead. Dear Mr. Morris, we represent that Park Place, its principals and employees, and we write in response to yours of March 27, 2024. We have reviewed your demands and, on consideration, find them meritless and ridiculous. For these reasons, your demands are rejected in whole and we consider the matter closed. Please direct any further inquiries as may be necessary to the undersigned by email. Very truly yours, Ronald D. Coleman. I'm pretty sure that is very polite legalese for you're full of shit, go pound sand. So where exactly do things go from here? I'm not exactly sure. There might be some back and forth before ultimately everything just goes and drops. But who knows? It could go further than that. But I doubt it though, because if they do have discriminatory hiring practices and this goes to discovery, well, they are going to be in a world of hurt. There's no way in hell that this is going to see a courtroom. It's probably just going to get dropped. Because if it doesn't, this is ultimately going to change the landscape of online journalism. And anytime a website goes and writes a less than flattering story about somebody, that's going to open them up for liability. And that's just not realistic. You can't have that in a society where you have the free press. But I do have to point out, we do live in current year, and current year is kind of crazy and insane, and nothing makes sense. So you never know. Anyway, folks, this is my take. What is yours? What are your thoughts on the legal salvos that are being fired back and forth between that Park Place and Black Girl Gamers? I'm really interested to see how all this goes and plays out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this content, I have another video popping up right about now talking about Sweet Baby Inc. and Black Girl Gamers. I'll catch you next time, folks.